Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today, and I'll describe him. Who I am: experienced user research practitioner with over 2 decades in the field and keen business skills, knowledgeable consultant who has worked with 150 organizations, manager of staff and projects with routine success at management of time, scope, and budget. Please join me in welcoming Corey Lebson. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. So nice to be here.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Oh, sure. So I started doing UX research in 1994. Of course, then it was called human factors or maybe usability. But yeah, I've basically been doing that ever since. I've gravitated towards being a consultant. I've loved that role, and since 2008, I've been kind of freelance researcher slash micro business owner, and have done a variety of project-based work and really enjoy what I do.
Nice. I love it. So, question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think for me, the thing that I learned in later life is don't take everything so seriously. Certainly in my earlier career, I really kind of felt like, oh, everything had to be perfect. I had to do everything just right, and I had to find out exactly about those users. I still feel that way, but feel like now it's really about kind of enjoying the ride, as I go on, as I advance, in my various projects, and doing a good job as best I can, but ultimately, just it just part of the ride and have fun along the way.
Great. And for the audience, if you guys are interested in a very different 2025 episode, check out the episode with industrial designer Kareem Rashid. It was a great episode.
Oh,
So,
nice.
question three. Why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I mean, I really kind of fell right into it. When I was in college, I was a psychology major. I took a class in methods, and they told me to find a professor's lab. And I identified a lab that looked interesting. It did doing this thing called usability testing. Hadn't heard of it before, and it certainly wasn't UX at that point. And I said, hey, I'd love to work with you. And the professor said yes. He connected me with the person who gave me my first job at the end of '94,
Hmm.
and yeah, and really, I just fell into it and just really enjoyed it. Now, I went to grad school figuring, I don't know if there's much future in this research thing. There wasn't. I mean, the web was not even commercial when I started.
Hmm.
Um, so I did go to grad school. I thought about getting a PhD, and eventually, just end up with multiple master's degrees along the way, and then came right back to where I was to begin with.
Nice. Some people struggle with number four, but the question is, what does your future look like?
Well, so I'm 51 now, and figure I don't know 20 up to 20 more years of really full-time work. I'd love to just keep doing what I'm doing. If I can, if work holds out, AI doesn't take over all our jobs, which I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, really, just do what I do for another, I don't know, maybe 20 years, and then maybe still do what I do, but maybe not full time after that, just because I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the UX research projects.
Perfect. Number five, we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
It plays a lot into what I do. I mean, so I love being with people. And particularly, I mean, that goes for clients, for stakeholders, and for research study participants. I love qualitative research best. So, having the opportunity to be in person with someone, I've always jumped at it. Whether it doesn't matter work from home, work in person. What really matters to me is having at least some in-person touch points. And for me, my clients are all over. I have often traveled for research or meeting, for workshops with clients, that kind of thing. And I really love that opportunity. I love that feeling of being somewhere, being immersed somewhere. When I was between high school and college, I was a summer exchange student in Denmark, and just the idea of always wanting to do that, always wanting to be immersed in something, carries right through to my to the user research that I'm doing. That said, I certainly do remote research. My main office is my home office,
Mm.
like I say, place does matter to me.
Great. And if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I mean, I think I would tell myself not to take everything so seriously. I really kind of, just felt way too serious. Way too. It's got to be this way when I first started in my career, um, and it really took, it took time to really realize. Again, that enjoy the ride thing, as we go. It makes things more enjoyable to just have that perspective. And it also you do good work and not necessarily, less anxiety gets in the way. And still I feel like, it gives me the opportunity to do good work. So yeah, that's what I tell myself.
Great. And seven, what's a day in your life like?
It changes. So this year I haven't had any in-person opportunities yet. I've had some remote work. So basically I wake up. I very much like personal exercise. It helps me maintain my focus. So either I wake up, immediately do some exercise, or I wake up, I work for a while, take a break to do some exercise. Then come back and maybe take like little do exercise snacks along the way. Maybe take a meditation break, for again, kind of focusing on kind of that balance. And then yeah, then just I keep working, and then if I have overflow work, I'll have dinner and then go right back to work again, which sometimes happens. Not It hasn't happened this year, but really, I feel like I'll flex when I have to. I mean, it's part of being a freelancer, I think. But also, then there's the research day, whether it's in person or remote. If it's in person, it's going to a venue, doing research probably all day, leaving, going back to a hotel. And if it's remote, it's largely the same. I don't have those exercise breaks, at that point. And yeah, and I just we'll go through and often just have research session after research session, as the bulk of my day. And then when that's over, kind of processing everything that happened that day, everything I learned before, while it stays fresh in my mind, before sometimes having a second day, the next day.
Great. Eight is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
So my favorite thing to do actually is I go old school. I have Feedly as an RSS reader, and I collect blogs to read. Both in the UX space, but also in the general technology space.
Mm.
And I try to read them every day. At least to skim the headlines of what gets pulled in. See what's going on, really stay on top of things. And also just read about technology, in the news as well. And I think even though I'm in user experience, I think that the technology as a whole is very important. I mean, obviously AI, comes up in a lot of conversation, but even augmented reality, virtual reality, whatever tech is is new, and whether it's some mobile technology, whatever. I'm really trying to stay on top of that. I also I create classes on LinkedIn Learning, and also I will, periodically watch classes on LinkedIn Learning as well. Occasionally reading, a book. I see a book or something, I'll go buy the book, read the book about something new or innovative. Yeah. So for me, largely for me, it's reading and watching. And I will say talking with colleagues when I get the opportunity, whether it's a meetup or even though there's less of them, unfortunately, these days, but talking with colleagues when I can, going out to coffee, really kind of syncing up with, what other people are doing and kind of learning new things that way as well.
Nice. So tools. Do you use analog and digital tools?
Um, I mean, so in terms of tools that I use, I mean, basically, it's really just my computer. I've got two. I've got a computer and a laptop. Largely just that. Whether I'm using it for analysis, or I could be using Zoom or GoToMeeting, or something for research, whether in person or remote. Really works for both. And then other than that, and really just the standard off the shelf stuff. Whether it's Microsoft Office or the Google Suite or whatever. It's really pretty simple. What I use.
Great. And halfway number 10, work-life balance, life-work balance. How do you deal with it?
So, I mean, one thing that's really important to me is exercise, and I definitely do that. Whether it's in the morning, the evening, in the middle of the day, or broken up if I have to. I try to do some activity every day. Generally solo. Whether it's running or swimming, or I have a home gym that I put together, or even virtual reality with my MetaQuest. Some workouts there. But also, meditation. I try to do that. I've got some meditation apps on my MetaQuest. I've got a couple other, approaches to meditation. I'm really trying to stay balanced, in that way. And also, just getting out when I have long work from home days, making sure I get out of the house, go somewhere, when I can, and have that opportunity just to kind of stay balanced.
Great. And 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
So realistically, I think if I were to, if I wasn't doing UX research, I'd probably be doing some other kind of research, probably in the psychology realm, I imagine, if UX hadn't existed. And I've always loved technology, and maybe there'd be some other junction besides this UX research that I do. But certainly I could definitely imagine, doing research. That said, if research wasn't an option at all, I love nature. I love, that balance that I find is often, going running through a forest trail that's not too far from my house. And if things were very different, I could imagine leading hikes. Maybe being a park ranger. I don't really know what all that entails, but doing something with nature. Being out there could be very exciting. In another life.
Great. And what would you not like to do with your career?
I mean, I don't know. I think professional sports. I love that. I love the workout on my own perspective. I could not imagine being a professional sports player.
Mm,
I enjoy the activity for activity's sake, not for the competition.
mm. And how about a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
So I have this actually, in my office now. Believing is seeing.
Mm,
Basically, you have to believe something is possible, for to make it happen. Because if you don't believe it's possible, it's never going to happen.
mm,
That's
mm,
really been one of my favorite quotes my whole life. And I even when I was a kid, I had something like that in my bedroom growing up as well.
mm. And a least favorite?
That's a hard one. I think you know, I don't think I have anything for that one without sounding a little cliche, but basically every negative has some positive to it too. So
Mm. And you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
curious. I'm just very curious about things. I mean, that ties into the research.
Mm,
I'm curious about the people I meet. I'm curious about the research that I do. I'm curious about technology. And I just want to learn. I mean, that's why I love grad school, just almost for the sake of grad school. It was I just love learning, and I love continuing to be curious as I learn new things, and always, really always learning along the way.
Great. And 16, what keeps you up at night?
I mean, I think about my future. I think about, like I say, I'm 51. I think about, getting old and aging well, and what I need to do, and probably continuing that exercise, making sure I'm eating right, making sure my mental health is okay. but it's something I didn't think about before. And now I'm like, oh, you know what? It's I, I'm in that middle age stage. What's it like to get to become older? And how do I stay healthy?
Great. And final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Um, Contentment. And finding a place that I'm saying, you know what, I'm totally satisfied because no matter what, I always say, well,
Mm.
what if there's more that we could do? What if, if this happened or that happened, would it be okay? Um, one day maybe I'll find them. Maybe in that getting old part or something. But yeah, uh, to find that general satisfaction over everything would be wonderful.
Great. And you spoke a bit about this, but what inspires you?
Um, really, I'm inspired by innovation. I'm inspired by people. People who might do amazing things, but they might just be really nice people and get on in the world, with a calmness and a enjoyment. Also people who are older and are, either still working, into their 70s, still working out, things like that. As I think about the getting old part, I also say, oh, look at all these people doing amazing, amazing things and being amazing, and that does inspire me.
Great. And advice. Any advice you'd like to share?
Really, and I'll keep coming back to it, but not taking work too seriously, but also to those points about learning. I totally think everyone needs to keep learning. I think everything kind of in my field and tangential to it is going to more and more revolve around business needs.
Mm.
So understanding business is an important thing I think as we go. And don't be scared of AI. AI is coming whether we like it or not. I don't think AI is taking over certainly, my job in UX research, at least not yet, but it's only augmenting it and still needs a lot of work. But could be an interesting tool, an interesting thing to kind of grow with, as it grows as well, and to also check it and make sure that it's being used appropriately and giving answers and giving outputs that are valid. Um, so yeah.
Good. And finally, number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
So in terms of keeping tabs on me, really feel free to follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. That could be a call to action. As well as any of the content that I have out there, I index on my website, under the thought leadership section. Lots of video and audio, or video, audio, live streams, and writing and so on. A lot of that is there. And also feel free to look me up on LinkedIn Learning as well. Of course, there's the UX Careers Handbook, my book that is in its second edition. But either way, anyone listening, I'd love to connect with you, certainly on LinkedIn. So yeah, please do.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining today. Real pleasure to have you on. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity and great talking with you and anyone who's listening as well.